Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance Live Show number 80. We are ready to rock and roll here, and as usual, I am joined by my partner in crime and the hostess with the mostest, good old Maurice.
Yeller.
How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, man. You?
Good. I'm doing better now that we're ready to go. Sorry for the late start, guys. I'm also joined by Avinash, who's come quite the regular here, and also she's a part of the in-depth podcast with Nukin and Naughty Karate. How you doing, Abby?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Excellent. So, I'm glad to get the show rolling here and kind of start discussing what is going to be on everybody's mind, which is the Millennium Falcon. So it's not in our inventories yet. We don't have the event up yet. When do you think that it's going to be starting, Maurice?
I would guess that it's going to be probably this week or the next. You know, they don't. You know, they still have to release the kit, right? So, you know, maybe that gets done this week and the event's the following week. Okay. I would say 2 weeks at the furthest. I mean, at the absolute longest. So.
All right, so now we do have... Panic, right? So now we do have, like, some definitive answers on what you what you need to have for the event, right? So, first of all, are you going to be prepared to do it?
I will. I've got them all at 5-star. I've got about 50 shards to go to get IG 2000 to 6-star. So that's. I'll definitely unlock it. You know, barring that it's not super difficult at the 5-star. It'll be a push for the 6-star. I do have the Xanadu Blood. I just got the Xanadu Blood to 6, and the Houndstooth and Slave 1 are already 7. So really, the 2000 is slowing me down. So I'd like to get a 6-star out of it. There's no way I'm getting a 7. Not a chance. So.
I do think it's going to be relatively easy. That's what I think. Because, I mean, this is not like a Chewbacca event where, you know, everybody has these characters already. And, you know, this is an event where, I mean, people are going to be kind of working hard just to get these ships to 7 stars. So I don't foresee it being a situation where you're going to need to have, like, all the characters Gear 12 and Zayden, and I mean, I think you'll be able to get by with, you know, just the bare minimum on this event. That's my opinion. What about you, Abby? Are you going to be able to get it this time?
I should be able to. I do run several accounts, so I can't just say for one. But I know that 2 of them are going to get the 7 stars because I had
for your main account.
My 2 main accounts, yeah. Basically. The only ship that I have to worry about is the IG 2000, and I'm farming that frantically now, and I think one's at 5, the other one's at 6, so I think I'm going to be able to make it. If I need to buy a couple of shards, then I'll do that. The other ones, about 3 of them, I should be able to get 5 stars, and there's probably 3 accounts that I won't be able to get anything out of.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a definite need to kind of curb you know, people's expectations here. This is definitely one of those legendary events that's kind of been thrust, you know, in our way here with ships that have been. Now we've had enough time to farm them, but again, they're in hard nodes. They are not necessarily always going to be the priority of these ships, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, I mean, my ships are nowhere near ready for this event. This is the first ever legendary event that I'm not going to be prepared for day 1 of the event. I mean, I have you know, the Xanadu Blood is at 3 stars, and I have the IG 2000 at 3 stars. So, I mean, I could make a splurge here and try to get the ships to 5 stars. I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I think I'm just going to kind of hold off and farm the ships and get prepared for the next time it comes around. And I honestly, I've never said that before, but it's one of those things where I just, if this was going to be an integral ship for a raid, or if I really felt like there was a ship event on the horizon here that was going to put my guild specifically ahead because I had this ship, I think that I would go for it and make the investment. But I because I feel like it's right now mainly going to be a benefit to my Fleet Arena team, I'm not going to go too crazy about it, because I feel like I may just be able to farm this slowly over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, and get the ship then. Now, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed. It does seem like it's going to be a cool ship. I mean, it's going to be their first legendary ship, so I'm excited about that. But it would be nice to have it, but I feel like in the same token, I mean, I'm probably, I went for other things first. So I went for Revan, I went for other ships first, and I made my choice. And I feel like because I went for those other things first, I kind of neglected to farm the ships necessary here for this event. And I should have seen the writing on the wall. I mean, I knew, and we've discussed on the stream multiple times over the last few months, that the bounty hunters were probably going to be the faction, or it was going to be cargo ships. I mean, I had a strong feeling bounty hunters were going to be a part of it, but it ends up that we were correct. But again, I just didn't go for that faction because I felt like, even though the Millennium Falcon is awesome and it's a cool ship, I feel like I would still rather go for other things, and I've been farming other things instead, and I'll have to take the hit on this one because I was farming. Honestly, I've been farming Jango Fett, which kind of works because I'm farming the Houndstooth at the same time, but I'm kind of really stoked to get Jango to 7 stars, and I'm close to that. So I'm at 59 of 100. I'm probably going to get there over the next few days because I've been, farming this node here like mad, and I'll have the Houndstooth 7-star here on the stream for you guys most likely right now. I got to see how many shards I get, but I don't know. What do you think, Maurice? Do you think people should be going all out for this, or do you think this is something where waiting for it is the ticket here?
Well, I think if you did not get Revan the first time, and you are farming those Old Republic characters like Zalbar, Bastila Jolie out of your hard nodes, you definitely need to stay on pace for that. Don't stop. Don't miss out on Revan because you want to switch gears and go for a ship. This is going to be probably like a rebel ship, so it may require, like, you might get the ship, but then who knows, you might not have the pieces to make the ship work properly anyway. So I would definitely go for Revan first. There hasn't really been an event apart from the Chimera where you need any specific ships for any particular reason. There are ships that are better for certain areas of the game, right? But there's very, very few things that require very specific ships. Like maybe that event that we get once or twice a month, the cargo ship event. But I mean, if you can't get that, it's not the end of the world, right? I mean, you don't need to panic farm those cargo ships to really, you're not going to get too much benefit out of it, just a couple extra ship omegas. But will Millennium Falcon be required for some future events? Perhaps, probably, but who knows what that's going to be. So we'll see. I think it's definitely worth going for 5-star. This being the first legendary ship, they're probably gonna make it pretty snazzy, right? You would think. I don't think it's gonna be just some ship that you get and never use, like the first Millennium Falcon, the Rey and Finn Millennium Falcon.
Right, and that's kind of why I'm disappointed, because I mean I feel like I'm missing out on something here, but at the same time, I mean that's kind of what the point is of these events, is to make you feel like you're missing out. And I feel like I still think I want to stay the course because there are some other characters that I want to farm, and I don't know if these are I don't know if these ships align with what I'm looking to do. And what I'm saying by that is that I still think that these other KOTOR characters, like the ones from the back half, like the dark side KOTOR characters, are kind of leading to something, and I feel like I still need to work on that first. So I mean, again, it's not something where, you know, are any of them farmable yet? I mean, maybe when the event comes out, they'll do that. But I mean, Juhani and Canderous or Darkside Basel, none of them are farmable yet. They're all still just in chromiums, right?
Yeah, I think I know Canderous and Basel, I think, are in the shipments. I'm not sure about Karth and Juhani yet. I'm not positive, but that may have happened with the update we got the other day. I'm not entirely sure, but none of them are free to play farmable yet. No.
Right. So as soon as
Canderous and Basel should be relatively soon, probably within the next couple weeks. I'm hoping, because
I want to farm Darkside Bastila. You know what I mean? And I want to farm Canderous Ordo. And I want to farm Karth. I want to farm Juhani. Those characters I really want to go for. And I feel like that's going to be probably my priority over the next few weeks. And I don't know, like I said, I'm working on Django. I'm going to get him done. I just got actually Chewie to Gear 12 today, so I'm excited about that. You know, now I finally have that in the bag and done with. Should have had it done a while ago, but you know, I've got C-3PO at Gear 12. I mean, for the most part, I'm ready. I want to finish Mission Vow and Zalbar, get them to Gear 12. I have them at both at Gear 11, so that's part of it. But I think that, you know, besides that, the other project I have is probably the same one that you have, and that's I do want to start finishing Range Trooper. You know, I have him here at 43 out of 100, so I'm going to have him 7-star over the next few weeks, and I feel like I'm going to get those Imperial Troopers up and running for fun, too. So, you know, those are, I mean, I have lots of projects I want to work on, but I feel like the Old Republic and probably the Imperial Troopers are going to be my priorities. So, farming-wise. So
I agree. I'm not going to panic about the Millennium Falcon when it comes out. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. If I get it at 5 stars, I'm good. If I don't, well, oh well. I'll just get it next time. I would rather focus on some of the tunes that are a little bit more necessary in the game at this point.
Agreed. Yeah, I just feel like there's a you know, and I'm not going to be the person that's going to say, like, don't go for the ship that you want. And, you know, if you want the Millennium Falcon and you're, you know, in relative reach to get it, I would say go ahead and make the, you know, the little bit of an investment it takes to go there. You know, I'm just so far away from it, and this is not, for me, this is not Revan, okay? Like, if this was Revan, I mean, I may go, you know, all in on it to get it, because this is a character that I've just wanted since the game came out. You know, obviously we've all known that eventually the Millennium Falcon was going to make its way into the game. I've just not been, you know, Han and Chewie are, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm fans of the characters, and, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to getting this ship, but, you know, there's other things that you know, excite me more, and getting Juhani, I'm more interested in, getting Karth and those Old Republic characters, and then whatever character comes from those characters, whatever event that is, if there is one, is also going to be, you know, what I'm interested in. So if it's, you know, if it's Darth Malak, if it's Revan, even if it's just, you know, another version of HK-47. Listen, that's what I want. So I don't think that the latter is what it's going to be, but again, it's just one of those things where I think that those are going to be my priorities. That's where I'm going to start farming as soon as it's possible. And then when that's done, depending on what's left over, then I'll start working on the Millennium Falcon. I feel like eventually we're going to need the Millennium Falcon for something. I think that there will be a... they've been doing too much work with ships for there not to be some sort of major ship content that comes out, right? I mean... you guys are in agreement here, right? There's going to be a ship raid, or the Death Star is coming, or something, right?
Something is coming.
Yeah, something. I'm sure something is coming soon. But oh man, it'd be so awesome to have a Death Star raid. Oh man, I'd be so stoked for that.
I mean, when they released the Death Star DLC for Battlefront 1, I thought to myself at that point that we were going to be close to getting a Death Star raid. So, that was a while ago. That was, a couple years ago now. So, I mean, I think that we're not too far from it. The Death Star is eventually going to make its way to the game in some shape or form. I just feel like if it does, there has to be some sort of land-air, combination here. So I feel like it's going to be, probably 50% ship battles, 50%, 50% on the ground, and they'll probably be like cannons that you have to attack, like on the Death Star, or maybe you'll have to straight up fight, Vader's TIE Advanced. But it'll be like, like a souped up version of Vader's TIE Advanced. I know we'll have
perhaps.
to see.
Right.
They're giving us enough ships now. The issue was, a few months ago, we just simply don't have enough ships to field 4 capital ships, and now we do. And now we have this Sith, the Sith fighter and the Sith bomber are both farmable now. So there are ships. They have slowly built ship depth. There's enough ships, perhaps, for the raid, but we would probably need another capital ship or 2, just because if it's an all ship raid, and all the raids are traditionally 4 phases. That's 1 capital ship per phase, right? So there's no flexibility there whatsoever.
Right.
I would think we're getting a capital ship soon. Just for the simple fact
has to be, right? It has
yeah.
To, but what kind of ship? I mean, like, do you think we're getting the Malevolence here, and we're getting Grievous's ship, or do you think we're getting a Rebel ship? Do you think we're getting like Amlin Haldo's ship?
Well, I think a Resistance or a First Order capital ship. I think that would probably likely be with the release of the movie next year, right? So that's probably a ways away. I don't think they're just going to drop that on us randomly, because that will kind of go with Episode 9, right? Right. Either of those capital ships. So I think that's, maybe we get something random, like a Grievous is a good guess. There are a few that we could get. Travis Anderson says the Ninka. I don't know what that is. If you want to drop the knowledge on me there.
The Grievous would make a ton of sense. I mean, that would be that would be great. Do I think that that's happening? I don't know, because Grievous is just so. I feel like they're not just going to update Grievous. I mean, it has to be Grievous and the Separatists, right? And I don't think we're anywhere near like a Separatist update, and
right. Yeah, I think they have too many other things on their mind right now to focus on the Separatists.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like, Grievous is not just going to come willy-nilly. It's going to be with Grievous is going to get reworked with Separatists or droids, okay? And they had their opportunity with all this Clone Wars stuff that was going on. When does the Clone Wars new episodes actually drop? Did they already start or no? No, right?
I haven't seen it, no.
But, it is interesting because IG-2000 ship came out, and there is now a scroll-down option. He's the only droid ship, I believe. And he does have, I think, something small in his kit that has droid synergy for ships. And I think he's the only one. So that's maybe foreshadowing some of these other droids getting ships. Perhaps a Grievous ship. Even if it's not a capital ship, I don't know. We'll see. Vader Star Destroyer. That's a possibility.
Yeah, but I mean, again, wouldn't that be kind of like Vader Star Destroyer could totally be a thing, but
we've already got 2 Empires, though.
I feel like getting another Empire capital ship would be really redundant.
Yeah,
I feel like there's going to be there's going to have to be a new faction, right? And it's either going to be Separatists, or maybe it'll be. Ooh, Revan is down. This is getting interesting. It'll either be a new capital ship, or it'll be a new, a Separatist ship, or maybe another Rebel ship, because we do have a lot of Rebel ships. You know what I'm saying? So that makes a little sense. Or maybe a Sith ship. That's one we've been speculating for a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, what are the chances that it's a, it's a ship that's tied to Malik, or maybe it's a Starforge?
No, that's realistic.
Maybe
like a Sith capital ship from some sort of ship from the Old Republic era, as they're just now wrapping. I can't imagine this Old Republic, kick they're on lasts too much longer.
Maybe
it's been quite some time.
Maybe we get a Darth Malik capital ship, and then maybe we get the Ebon Hawk.
I would think the Ebon Hawk comes to the game. I would definitely think so.
How stupid would it be not to have the Ebon Hawk?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they've gone all in on KOTOR. So, I mean, like, why not go the extra mile? Why not get the Emperor in here? Get Vitiate in here. Get Valkorion in here. Do all the stuff. Get all the. They might as well do the Usan Vong at some point. Now, I mean, that's really deep into the mythology. But I'm saying like that would be cool. But again, like the main things from the games, at least from the games, like, we could have Starkiller in this game. Get Starkiller in this game. Do it.
Right.
No more KOTOR. Listen, I would rather KOTOR than like, another like just like throw off character from Rogue One, than Pow. I'd rather KOTOR character than
Pow, who had like 5 seconds on the screen.
Yeah, Pow or Biston or any of these characters that are literally like no name characters. I mean, we got Rose Tico up in this piece right here. I mean, we got Rose Tico. Okay, so I mean, I'll tell you right now, Rose Tico to me is literally a non-existent entity. That whole movie, I wish I could wipe it from my memory. Okay, I wish it didn't exist. Okay, altogether. And Rose Tico is Rose Tico and Amlin Haldo to me are like glaring proof that there was this horrible movie out there. Okay, and to me, like whenever I see Rose Tico and Amlin Haldo, I want to strike them from the canon. Just strike them altogether. There's no reason for Rose Tico to exist. Literally none. That whole thing that she did with Finn could have played out with Rey. There could have been a circle of like love between like Rey and Kylo Ren, and that would make the story actually even more interesting. Like like if let's say she was away, and because of this, like she started to have this like these feelings for Kylo Ren because they're like force projecting with each other, and then she comes back to Finn and she really doesn't know how to feel about it because Finn, like, and her have this like little thing from the past. That would have been made a more interesting like third story than anything else. Especially if Finn ended up like also having some sort of Jedi powers, But I don't know. Again,
you should write a fanzine story on that.
I don't do fan.
I'm sure there's some. I wonder if there's like one out there with something like that. So no, I should look it up.
I don't want Raylo, but it looks like that's what they're doing. Okay,
Raylo.
I don't want Raylo. Okay, listen. Did I want Rey and Kylo Ren to have a relationship? I think it's ridiculous. Okay, but you know what? But we're there. Okay, we're already there. Okay, they've already she saw him with his shirt off. She kind of looked at him like she was like really interested. I mean, she trusted him to go to the ship. She literally went into Snoke's chamber with Kylo Ren with zero backup, just on her own, trusting this dude. Okay. Went in there. Yes. Revan, Malgus, Satele. I mean, they can have so many characters. We don't even have Scout Trooper yet in the game. I would want any of these characters to come out at some point. So, yes, we're kind of getting off topic here now, but...
I know, but we're going to have to do a live stream just on this stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it would be a blast if we did something like this.
Oh, I've had my rants before. This is just. I mean,
Rose Tico's sister is the next marquee event we're going to get.
Oh, Rose Tico's sister, Jesus, Rose Tico.
She had
Well,
more screen time than Power Biston.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
She was more worthwhile than Rose.
The general from the Dreadnought had more screen time than Power Biston. He did. Okay, that guy got roasted in the first 15 minutes of the movie, and I know him more than I know Biston or Pow. Okay, so that's just how it is, you know. And they made Hux look like a fool in the last movie. I mean, I don't even want him in the game anymore. I was actually interested to see the character in the game and give him a capital ship at some point, but just strike Hux from the canon too, and just give us, give us Snoke.
Well, on that note, I need to leave the live stream.
Okay.
Because I've got another obligation that I need to go to. But this is fascinating. I love it. I really want to do a live stream based on this. Just maybe an off one in the middle of the week or something like this. Sure. I wish you guys the best of luck with the rest of the live stream. And I will see you next week.
All right, Abby. Good luck.
Yeah, Abby.
Take care. Have a good
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. All right, so let's move on here. We've obviously been discussing this nonsensical topic here for 30 minutes now, but now we have another topic to discuss, and I kind of want to talk with you about this. Now that we know the characters that are not going to be available for the next TW, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think that they did the right thing here? Do you think they did the wrong thing? Are you going to be prepared for this event?
Well, first of all, they did a take backsy, right? Like, Crumb made a post, I don't have it in front of me, but January 4th clearly said that the devs are going to be selecting there was the characters we were voting on, and then there were some blocks at the bottom that the devs were going to vote on, and it clearly said in the post, 16 of these characters will be unavailable. But then when they made the release of which characters are excluded, last week, it only included 4 of the characters from the dev poll, so it's not nearly as bad as what we initially thought, right? Because if that dev poll basically, they were going to eliminate 4 of the 5 blocks or something from it, that was going to basically just knock out any first order team you guys had available, because there was a first order character in all of those blocks. So with them only eliminating 1, we did lose first order officer and then also first order stormtrooper, but there's still enough. There's still all of your factions, all of your factions are still intact pretty much, with the exception of maybe your Imperial troopers. You did lose Stark, and then maybe the droids. If you guys use HK-47, if you have a nice droid team that you use, you've lost HK. Just that Revan block was devastating. Not only do you lose Revan, and that's what the character a lot of people are upset about, because they paid for the character. That's like the only character on the whole poll that if you did have that character, you had an advantage, because there's just simply no other way to get that character. All the other characters on the list were characters that everyone has had a chance to obtain. Chewbacca now twice. C-3PO is not on the list. So everyone had an equal chance to get all these characters. Whether or not you developed them was on you. But Revan, Colonel Stark, and HK-47 was a nightmare. So you lose your facilitator for your troopers, and you lose your best droid leader and Revan. But the rest is manageable. You still got crew. You've still got Bosk. You did lose Dengar 88, and there was another bounty hunter in there as well. I can't remember off the top. Django Fett, which is a bounty hunter not everyone has anyway. So every faction for the most part is still intact. The Night Sisters did lose Asajj and did lose Zombie, but that just means if you guys run them on defense, you just have to use a Talzin lead on offense now. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. You just have to reorganize a little bit. And we lost Nest and Revan. So these are 2 characters that are probably, depending on how you run your Nest, Revan especially, they're going to have your best speed mods. So, you just got to take your speed mods off these 2 characters, right? And so now you have 2 super fast sets to put on somebody else now. Is this ideal? I don't personally mind the change. I think it's challenging, but the majority of the community despises it, and I understand why. But what this is going to do is going to give you an opportunity to kind of fool around with your roster, and you might be able to find, find some hidden gems that you didn't really think about. Maybe think about Princess Leia with Revan's set on her, right? And Princess Leia can triple tap with crit chance up for the whole squad. So you lost your Colonel Stark, but you could easily insert a very, very fast Princess Leia in your Imperial Trooper team. Do not, have her attack first, not go stealth. If she attacks first, then she could facilitate, kind of do Colonel Stark's job and give buffs to the whole team and get the turn meter flowing. It's just ways to experiment with your roster that, you really didn't have the opportunity to do before. So, love it, hate it, whatever the case is, it's coming, in 2 days. You guys gotta get in there and place your defenses. So, if you guys want to win a TW, you gotta get in there with your guild mates and really discover what's the best option for you as a guild. It's only going to be temporary, With the outrage of this event, I find it very hard to believe this is going to be a permanent thing. So, it's 2 TWs, guys. It's not the end of the world. We'll get through it all together, and then we'll move on. So I don't know. What are you guys doing in your guild?
Well, we're just we have some teams that we put together that we're gonna run that basically just the leftovers. We're trying to decide whether we're gonna go really defense heavy or just kind of go cheapsies and just run mainly offense. But I think that we're gonna put up a pretty decent defense, and I'm not again we're not too heavy on TW, so whatever the changes are, we'll be okay with it. I mean, it's we're not very we make TW optional, so it's not very important thing in our guild.
Well, we did lose Treya and we did lose Nihilus, so, and this, everyone lost Nihilus. Maybe not everyone has Treya yet, but everyone lost Nihilus. But we still have Sith Trooper and Scion available, so you can make just a nasty Emperor Palpatine team with Scion and Sith Trooper, Vader, or you can even split off Vader and make a Vader team with your scoundrels, who we lost maybe 3 or 4 scoundrels: Han, Solo, Nest, and Storm. There was very few scoundrels that got eliminated, so you could peel off your mission at Zalbar and put them with your Vader and you could really expand your Empire team a little bit. You could there's all sorts of fun little ways. Scion under Palpatine, guys, is nasty. A lot of people forget that because they've been just running the Triumvirate for so long that they forget how good Scion is under Palpatine. You got that dark side Basila under Palpatine now. For those of you that developed her counter Revan, she's got an additional shock. Palpatine has shock, so he's gonna get lots of turn meter after he goes. She fuels the turn meter under Palpatine with all the 1-turn debuffs she does, including the AoE passive one that she does, the little red skull. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but the she's very, very good under Palpatine. Excuse me, sorry.
That's all right. When you said before, like when you were like, love it, hate it, it just reminded me of like, that scene from the Avengers where Thanos is like, dread it, run from it, destiny comes all the same. And that's the case here. I mean, listen, it's happening. This is what's going to be the deal. It may only be for 1 TB, so we just have to prepare for it and deal with it. And I think it's one of those things where I don't think we're gonna be in a situation where anybody's gonna be in the most ideal scenario. I mean, everybody's gonna have to try to figure out some different squads to run. But ultimately, like Abner mentions here in the chat, right now it's just 1 TW. So let's just get through it. Do the best you can. Try to figure out some different squads. Try to think a little bit outside the box to see if you can come up with some different offensive teams to use to beat some of these teams. And let's see how it goes. I mean, you may have more fun with it than you think. And ultimately, that's what this is all about. It's about having a good time. This is a game. So, if you enjoy it, then maybe it'll be something that they do again. If everybody hates it, then I'm pretty sure they will probably move on and try to figure out some other way to stimulate the game for us. You know what I mean? So this is just the first time that we're doing it. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, if they don't do something to switch it up a little bit, TW has been out now long enough where we're seeing the same defensive squads over and over and over again. It's purely a battle of mods, so they do have to shake it up a little bit, or in a month or two from now we'd be complaining that TW's stale and they need to upgrade it, so they kind of preemptively silenced us, but that it was coming. Like, if TW was getting a little stale, we got like a month and a half off of it, so it's just whatever. Let's try something. I personally don't have a problem with it, but I am in a guild. Well, all of us have more depth because we do have higher GP. I totally understand for someone with a smaller GP or a guild like under 100 million really can be crippled by this, but it'll be over before you guys know it, and we'll be moving on to something else to complain about. So
something else to complain about. Yep.
Yeah.
I do remember you suggesting this team, McFly. That's why I'm running it again for you. This is just the same team from last time, so I'm just. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of expose. All right, let's move into our top 5 and the meta report. So, top 10 leaders at rank 1. Okay, so again, not much of a difference here. We're dealing with Jedi Knight Revan. I mean, really pretty much the same, with the exception of an increase in some CLS and just more Treya. Treya seems to be getting more play because there's more Bastila Shan Fallens out there, and because of that, we're just getting an increase in Treya teams. But really, for the most part, the 10 leaders at rank 1 have kind of stayed the same. We're seeing some Finn out there to rock with Chewbacca, and we're just seeing more CLSs because more people are getting their Chewies to Gear 12, modding them up. So I expect to see CLS continue to rise because the more people that get Chewie geared up and ready to go, and the more people that gear him up because of the Millennium Falcon now that's coming out, you're going to see him out there a little bit more because he is a decent counter to some of these meta teams. And also, on top of that, he's just something different that you don't necessarily see out there. I am seeing more CLS led Chewy teams out there now. How about you, Maurice? Are you seeing a little bit more in Arena now with CLS?
Yeah, we've got a couple guys that run it. Some sort of CLS Chewy Han C3PO. I think one guy uses R2 and one guy uses maybe Leia. So there are some variations. The C3PO brings out so much more damage just with all the rebels exposing. Just brings out a lot of utility. That character does. It's pretty good. So if you guys got C3PO, put him to use. 5-star, 6-star, doesn't matter. Gear 9, Gear 10 is usable in Arena on offense. So, just get him in there, practice, and use what you got. If you don't have good speed mods, C3PO is great because, Han will shoot first, expose, Chewie comes in for the assist. If you target the right character, you can potentially take out a character before the other team even goes if you mod him for very, very high offense. So it's a nice tactic to use for the players without the mod depth.
Right.
So.
So that's our top 10 leaders at rank 1 in the arena right now. We're moving on to our top 10 squad members, and this kind of goes with that trend. Again, kind of trumping the rank 10 there with Bastila Fallen, who's kind of been on the list there for the last month or two. We're looking at Chewbacca now holding the number 10 spot as the top 10 squad members start to kind of shift a little bit, and we see more rebel teams with Chewie and with C3PO as well, just like Maurice had just mentioned. But For the rest of it, it's really pretty much the same. The top 3, top 4 stay the same. Really, the top 9 stay the same. No changes with Treya, Scion, Nihilus, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Grandmaster Yoda is still the #1 most used character in this game, and that goes to show, how strong the Jedi are and how strong his rework was when they did that, a few months past. But Chewie back in the meta, or now, a little bit more prominently in the meta with these CLS teams, and I can expect to continue to see that to rise a little bit, as people try to switch it up a little bit in Arena and not run the same thing over and over again. But that's really the only change there. Now we're going to move on to the top 10 squad members at rank 1 for ships. I didn't do the top 10 leaders at rank 1 because, again, we only have 4 capital ships in this game, and the capital ships are really pretty much going to be the same every week. There's not much of a difference. Most people are running the Chimera, and then the Executrix, number 2, and then number 3, you have Mace Windu, with a small portion of people running the home one. So that's going to probably stay the same now for a little while until the Millennium Falcon comes out, and then we may see a resurgence in some Rebel ships and also the home one. So it'd be interesting to look at the meta report, let's say 2 or 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, as more people have the Millennium Falcon and their ship teams leveled up that they're looking to run with the Millennium Falcon, and see kind of where the meta shifts a month from now. But,
yeah, if you guys are going to get the Millennium Falcon, I would just hoard everything, all your ship Omegas, all your reinforcement abilities, because if that ship comes out and it's going, if it's a game-changing ship, you will want to have resources to adapt and build a new team. So I would just hoard everything right now, because it maybe for 2 weeks, guys. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just to see where that takes us, so you'll be a little prepared for any change that we might see. Which, well, who knows? Those of you that just started your Mace fleet might want to pump the brakes just temporarily, just to see what's coming. So,
yeah,
this is interesting though. TIE Silencer still is on there. That's the Geonosians have just fallen, huh?
Well,
good night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised to see something. I mean, the Xanadu blood on there. I'm surprised to see that the Xanadu blood is so widely had, right? I mean, like, I didn't think that a lot of people had the Xanadu blood already. I mean,
I've been farming it hard. 25 crystal refresh every day, like doing all 8 nodes, refreshing every 24 crystals, doing 8 again, and mine's barely 6-star. So I mean, that's crazy. That's proof right there that if you guys can only even get the 5-star Millennium Falcon, that understarred ships can be effective. I mean, we see people in the advanced shards. I mean, you see people using 3 and 4-star Anakins, just whooping butt with those ships. So it'll be interesting to see what's on the horizon here.
TIE Silencer up there, the TIE Advanced and Imperial TIE Fighter still rocking the top of the list here with the Chimera. So, I mean, if it's besides the Houndstooth, which is hands down right now the best ship in the game.
Yeah.
The other 3 ships are really just Empire. So that's, and then the Executrix right behind it. So it's all Empire at the top here. But I decided, instead of doing top 10 leaders at rank 1 this week for ships, we're going to do top 10 reinforcements for ships. So we're looking at that now, and it looks like the #1 reinforcement in the game is the TIE Advanced. So the Phantom is number 2 with Slave 1 right behind it. Big Starklighter's X-Wing is number 4. TIE Reaper is number 5. Lando's Millennium Falcon is number 6. Plo Koon is number 7. We have Anakin's ETA 2 at number 8. Number 9 is Sunfac, and then number 10 is Cassian's U-Wing. This is kind of an interesting list to look at here, because I often wonder to myself also, what are the best, or what is the best order to put my my reinforcements in, and am I really putting out the best defensive reinforcements? This kind of gives you a good idea of what other people are putting out there at rank 1 that dominates the meta. So, I mean, is this what you see out there? I mean, is this interesting for you too?
Well, this is interesting because we just saw the top 10 starting lineup ships, and none of those are Mace fleet, with maybe the exception of, well, I guess they are. I guess people are running the Xanadu in the 5s, but all of these reinforcements here at the bottom, Anakin, Plo Koon, Lando's Millennium Falcon, these are all ships that traditionally are in a Mace fleet, but yet we only saw, 15% or so people taking number 1 are using Mace. Phantom 2, it's good to see that one on there. That ship is very, very good off the bench. Really give you a nice edge. And the advanced, I see that every day coming off the bench. Just, comes off the bench. And especially with people using Xanadu Blood, they're using Ghost. These AoE heavy squads. And then you bring in TIE Advanced off the bench. And the TIE Advanced drops the 3 dots on all the ships and kind of just finishes them off, as they take their turns. So it's a good strategy for you AoE players out there to bring him in off the bench. So Reaper is good to see too. I've been using Reaper a long, long time.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain that he kind of got, quote, nerfed a little when they did Chips 2.0, but he's still very valuable, especially if you don't have the 6E. Like, if you're running Chimera and your whole shard's running Chimera, but everyone else has 2 Zetas and 6E mods on their Chimeras and you don't, TIE Reaper is a very nice way to kind of level the playing field. You kill 1 ship, 2 ships, you basically balance it out, and you've actually taken the advantage in terms of faster capital ships. So it's an interesting ship to have in your inventory.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's really an interesting thing to look at, because I don't think a lot of people really know as much about ships as they do about the main part of the game, the characters, because that's really where majority of us, our expertise lies in this game, is with those characters. And ships, especially since the change to 3v3, have become a little bit more of a mystery. I mean, again, there are people that are dominating it, don't get me wrong, and a lot of you guys in the chat, I'm sure, are doing very well in your ship arenas, but the thing is that it's one of those things that still it's good to look at the meta report and see what the best players in the world are doing right now, so you can kind of take note and see if you can make some adjustments to your team if you're having trouble in arena, maybe holding on defense, or you're getting knocked back really far. Maybe some of these teams can help you. The Phantom 2 has probably one of the best reinforcement abilities in the game, right? Doesn't it reduce the ability or increase or reduce the cooldown for bringing another reinforcement in?
Yeah, basically, yeah. As soon as when you bring in Phantom 2, when you have the reinforcement maxed out, the very next turn the capital ship takes, you can bring in another. Basically, you can make it where you have 5 ships against 4 on the opposing team. You can outnumber them. Very, very good. And then that's a very safe investment, regardless of what you're running. That's always going to be a useful reinforcement ability. Where some of these other ones are kind of like flash in a pan meta type things that will come and go, but this Phantom 2 is a very safe investment if you guys are starting to pile up those reinforcement abilities.
Phantom 2 seems like the way to go, to be honest, and the TIE Advance now hits like a truck since the update, so that's another way you go too. But yeah, so that's our top 10 reinforcements at rank 1. What we're going to do now is we're going to move along here to our top 5 for the week, and this week we're doing top 5 support characters. Last week we did the top 5 attackers, and we're just doing the rounds. It's 2019. The support characters have changed. You guys, I'm sure, will probably guess some of these because they are some of the best players in the game. But let's take a look at the top 5 support. So at number 5, who do we have here, Maurice?
Sorry, yeah, this list was incredibly difficult to make because there are tons of good support characters. Number 5 is actually Darth Treya, coming in at number 5, barely making the cut. Just overall support-wise, just the Zeta and her leadership, I mean, just provides cleansing. Just by simply taking a turn, you're just going to lose all your debuffs. Just that alone is put anyone in the list. That's a great ability. Anytime, basically provides anytime an enemy attacks on a turn, they lose health. She gives crit avoidance. She gives anytime a Sith hits a debuffed enemy, the whole team gains health. Just the ultimate support package in a single character. Just really, just phenomenal Sith character. She is very faction oriented. She really has very little to no use in PvP outside of a Sith team, but just really the centerpiece for a relatively large faction in the game now with the Sith. So number 5, that's crazy.
She's sick. I mean, really, her unique ability kind of tells it all. I mean, every time an ally suffers a debuff, trait gains 10% bonus protection, stacking. At the start of each Sith ally's turn, basically debuffs are rendered useless against them because, she dispels all the debuffs on every ally, and then she deals 5% damage or 5% of their max health for each debuff dispelled to the opposing team. So each character on the opposing team now takes away, you take away 5% health from the opposing team for each debuff. So if you have, let's say, 6 debuffs dispelled, that's going to be 30% damage, or 30% of that person's damage being taken away. And if that's a person like, let's say, Darth Nihilus, who has a ton of damage at that moment, what's going to be their base max health. So it'll be 30% of Darth Nihilus's base max health. So that can be a lot of damage to the opposing team. And this is going to be every turn that they're going. They're going to be dispelled. So it's a really, really sick, unique, and obviously her ability to basically render a character like, let's say, Hermit Yoda or a tank useless with Isolate is huge. And she's just overall probably one of the better leaders in the game, and definitely a great support character. I would have thought she was an attacker, to be honest with you, with the amount of damage that she does, but she's one of those support characters that does attacker damage, but leads with support.
Oh, let's not forget Isolate. I'm not sure that one of us even mentioned that. Isolate is arguably the best ability in the entire game.
Right. Yeah. It's sick, basically rendering somebody useless. Mm-hmm. So that's our number 5 support character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Moving along to our number 4 support character here, we've got R2-D2. Okay, so R2-D2 obviously is the whole package. I mean, this character from soup to nuts, helps almost every faction in the game. I mean, if you think about R2-D2, he is a droid, Galactic Republic, Rebel, Resistance character. So he literally benefits 4 separate factions. And, I mean, his unique abilities are sick. Number crunch. At the start of battle, R2-D2 gains 10% max protection for each droid ally, 10% offense for each Galactic Republic ally, 10% max health. He basically gains all these bonuses, and then at the start of battle, when R2-D2 revives, other droid Galactic Resistance allies gain 10% of R2-D2's max protection, offense, max health, potency until R2-D2 is defeated. So all droid Republic, Rebel, and Resistance allies gain all these bonuses. You know what I mean? So just having him on the team, forget about his ability to stun with a basic, forget about the passive taunt that he has, or the pseudo taunt that he has with his smoke screen. Forget about his ability to do an area of effect attack that now can expose, on the correct team. Let's say with a Rey Jedi training lead. He just gives 10% bonuses to all of these different factions, and then with combat analysis. Whenever R2-D2 is active, whenever a light side ally scores a critical hit, you can dispel all debuffs on them. So, he just benefits his team in so many different ways, and that's really what the deal is with these support characters. The most important thing is that they kind of spread the love. They're kind of like the point guards of the team. They facilitate the rest of the team to get benefits, and R2-D2 pretty much embodies that.
Oh yeah, and he does it. And for all the reasons you just mentioned, he does all of those things, the stat boosting, the cleansing, he does it passively. He doesn't have to use any sort of ability to gain those benefits. He just, on his actual abilities, he can, like you said, stun, He can burn, or he can use the stealth move. He does all these things with the stat boosting and the cleansing without clicking a button. It doesn't even have to be his turn. So he's going to forever bolster all those factions you see on the screen there: Droid, Galactic Republic, Rebel, Resistance. And we've mentioned Number Crunch probably a dozen times in these top 5 lists over the course of the past couple of years. So I mean, he continues just to make the cut in terms of overall usefulness in the game. So
absolutely. That is our number 4 support character in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Moving along to our number 3 character. Who do we have here, Maurice?
This one is going to be another droid, his little buddy, C-3PO. Actually, the two of them actually do have a synergy with that Zeta. They do begin the match with translation and with the evasion. You could make a case he could be higher, but there's still going to be... the devs have mentioned they're looking into the interactions with him, Finn, and Traya in the Sith raid. They are looking into that. So, but even if something gets nerfed, number 3 here is a safe spot for him. Actually, in his kit, with the confused mechanic, he has basically a buff immunity, a daze, and a cooldown reduction, or increase and reduction, actually, both in his kit. He fuels max health, he fuels crit chance, he calls assists, just allows rebels to expose their basic. Galactic Republics get the protection up and the defensive penetration. Resistance gets something that's slipped my mind now, but every faction gets something a little bit different. And Ewoks get all the bonuses doubled. So everything that all these individual factions get, the Ewoks get it all at twice the power. So he just doesn't do any damage directly, but does have lots of nice just utility in his kit. Expose himself that he does on his basic because he is a rebel. Just a very, very, very good character. And we mentioned earlier in the stream, if you guys got him at 5, 6, 7 star, Gear 9, Gear 10, whatever the case may be, you can totally plug him in. And currently, as the game allows it, he is relatively broken in terms of a raid character. You can easy auto the pit raid, the tank raid. Certain phases of the heroic Sith raid are easily achievable now. For those of you guys that could not beat the Sith raid, chances are you guys have 3 or 4 guys in your guild that may have got this character, and you're now breezing through P3 no problem. So we'll see. We'll see what type of nerf change they make, and in the future he may rise even higher than this. So
right, exactly. We'll see what happens, but for all the reasons that Maurice just mentioned, with intermediary, all allies gain 10% defense, and Galactic Republic and Ewok allies gain 15% protection up for 2 turns. For the cyborg relations, all allies have 10% potency, and when a rebel or Ewok ally uses their basic abilities, they inflict expose on the target enemy for 2 turns. For fretful mediator, all allies have 10% critical damage, and whenever a resistance or Ewok ally use their special ability, they inflict offense down on the target enemy for 2 turns, which can't be evaded. And then obviously you have the ability translation, which can be stuck on, or the buff translation that can be stuck on your allies. That when stacked, at 1 you get 30% max health, at 2 you get 15% crit chance, and at 3 you get a reduce of 1 on all your cooldowns. So it's just ridiculous the amount of benefits that he gives the team. Really that's all he can do because he doesn't attack. He just kind of benefits the team by calling in assists. Again, being able to now basically buff, I'd say basically like a fourth of the entire game by giving the rebels the ability to expose with their basic.
That they messed up. That broke the game. That's why there's an issue with Finn, because what happens is that Finn lead, every time you pop an expose, you reduce your cooldowns and get turn meter. So basically, C-3PO is just, he goes every single turn, and you use the AoE assist every single turn. It's just a loop. Like the other team never gets to go because C-3PO's turn meter is just constantly filling up, and it's a they goofed on that one. That was a little OP, but.
Yeah, you like I said, you're basically buffing every rebel now by having C-3PO on the team, because they're going to now be able to expose on their basic. This is sick. I mean, all these Rebel characters that that have been pretty much in collecting dust for the last year or so are now better. So he's just overall a fantastic character, and definitely again a character that embodies the support role to the maximum. And like Maurice said, he'd probably be a little bit higher on the list if he wasn't questionable at the moment with his possible nerf, or we'll see what happens here with the update and how they fix this or how they play this. They haven't given us any information yet, so it's just kind of a waiting game at the moment. Moving along to our number 2 support character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, we have Darth Nihilus. Okay, I can't believe this guy's even a support character. He's clearly got damage written all over him, so he clearly looks like an attacker, but he is a support character. He does have the ability to dispel on his basic. He increases the opposite team's cooldowns, okay? His unique ability is that he inflicts health down on the opposing team every time they have a turn. So, whether, no matter who you're using, no matter what they do, they're going to get a debuff on them. At least, I believe you can resist it. But, again, at the start of each of his turns, Nihilus inflicts damage over time effect for 2 turns on a random enemy. So it's damage over time. Sorry, I thought it was health down. On a random...
health down with the Zeta, yeah.
Yeah. Damage over time, and then health down with the Zeta. So, he just, has the ability to stick a ton of debuffs on your opponents. He obviously increases their cooldowns. His leader ability is because, again, it's one of those things that really based upon the rest of the Sith faction, I don't think is something that's anywhere near meta at the moment, but down the road, as they add more Sith characters, could be something. He obviously dispels with his basic. Overall, he's just a fantastic character. A little bit less of a facilitator than some of the other characters on the list, but how can you not have Darth Nihilus, being that he's listed as a support character in this list? He's clearly one of the best characters in the game, if not the best character in the game, so he's got to be on here.
Yeah, this is tough putting him at 2. It is a coin flip. I'm pretty sure the whole chat knows who number 1 is, but basically he assists your squad by annihilating a character, and that character can't be revived, with the exception of Night Sister Zombie. But for all the reasons you just mentioned, cooldown reduction or increase and dispelling basic, while he is a Sith and he will perform better under Palpatine or Trey or even his own leadership, he is plug and play. A lot of people when he first came out, people were using him at 3-star under Rex to get him going. You can plug him in any team. Bastila first came out, a lot of people were putting Nihilus in their Bastila teams to kind of, basically get through other Bastila teams a little bit quicker. So, he does have a lot of plug and play utility, as well as our next character, who is the ultimate plug and play character in the game.
Absolutely. He is so meta, it's ridiculous. It's just I can't envision a time where this guy is not going to be a meta character, because again, that ability, just having the ability to instantly defeat an enemy is so powerful in any battle that I can't imagine a time where this guy cannot be plugged in as a 5th on any squad to help you beat your opponent. Obviously there are times where it's going to be difficult to overcome some bonus that's given in the game, whether that's a pre-taunt back in the day when Short Trooper first came out, or whether that's a character that gets a passive taunt back in the day when Royal Guard first got that bonus, and he was able to taunt when enemies got below 50% health. No matter what the bonus is that they give to the opposing team, a character like this being able to just basically eliminate the threat is always going to be at the top of the charts for sure. So moving along now to our number 1 support character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Who do we have here, Maurice?
Thrawn. Grand Admiral Thrawn. Number 1. Again, this is a coin flip, but Thrawn is just, he is ultimate. I personally think him and Ness are 1 and 2 of the best characters in the game. And just, he's very, very high base speed, has fracture, much like Isolate, completely renders a character useless. They can't do anything when fractured. And does have some additional, or not additional, different uses in the raid. He's got turn meter swap that comes with a 50% protection increase. And when he is utilized as a leader, he actually physically gives any Empire underneath his lead an extra ability on their, when it's their turn, you actually have an additional ability that you can choose that is going to give you, that's going to cleanse any debuffs on you. So he actually, he supports your Empire by giving them an additional ability. And cleanse is something that the Empire faction really does lack. So this is very, very handy. Basic attack, that it's got a weird mechanic. When you hit him with it, it gives them speed up. But then once that speed up expires, it turns into ability block. And if you hit him with that basic attack, an ability block character with basic attack, it will stun them. So he's got a very interesting kit. All special damage actually on his kit. So you can't get the damage actually up pretty high on him if that's what you want to focus on. So it's just a great character, absolutely mandatory for probably every raid we ever have in the future. Just great raid character, fantastic PvE character. And PvP. You still see him. We saw him in the meta report. He's going to be one of those characters that's just going to be on there regardless of the meta. Grand Admiral Thrawn in the mix all the time.
All the time. Yeah, I mean, Ebb and Flow, which is probably the main Zeta that you should stick on this guy. Obviously he reduces the turn meter of anybody who's fractured. This is a huge bonus. He has the ability to render a taunting character basically useless for a couple of turns when used correctly or modded correctly. He counterattacks. He's got a fantastic Empire leader ability and can be used in territory wars as an alternative leader to Emperor Palpatine with your secondary Empire characters. He's also got the ability to give any character 100% turn meter, cleanse them from all debuffs, and give them bonus protection, which is fantastic. I mean, basically, passing the ball to somebody, giving them an alley-oop is exactly what he's doing there. He's giving somebody the ability to go. So you can choose a character, let's say, that has low turn meter, has some debuffs, maybe needs some health, and instantly put them back in the game and revitalize that character. Kind of epitomizing the role of a support character. He's overall, just fantastic. He does decent damage, and he's obviously also the commander of the most used ship in the fleet arena, the Chimera. So he's just a great character all around, and somebody that is basically just universally meta, and for ships and for arena, he's somebody that you can use as your fifth. Not quite the leader that he used to be anymore in the arena, but definitely somebody that you can use as a support character or in addition to any team out there. So that's our number 1 support character in the game, but as usual with these things, we do have an honorable mention, and this week's honorable mention is Grandmaster Yoda. Yes, Grandmaster Yoda, with the absolutely insane amount of damage that he does now on a Revan team, is still considered a support character and not an attacker. But, he's just somebody who facilitates the squad. He spreads positive status effects to the entire team, tenacity up. He can basically, take buffs from the opposing team and then spread them to his team as well. He can copy. Plus, he's the only character in the game that can do this. And it's just, he's just hands down, one of the best characters in the game. He can do, a basic attack that gives himself foresight. Again, he does an area of effect attack that steals buffs. He can reduce turn meter for a target enemy and stun them. He can also, like I said, spread tenacity up in addition to any buffs that he's stolen. And, just all around, he's a fantastic facilitator, fantastic support character. What are your thoughts about him, Maurice?
Well, that's why this list is incredibly difficult. You can make a case he should be higher, but just he really, until Revan came out, he really wasn't. Even after prior to Bastila and Revan, he was just kind of the lone useful Jedi. So he does need certain characters. He's really not a plug and play. That's why he's an honorable mention. But just the master, the change they made to him, the master stroke that immediately gives him another turn to use his battle meditation, just instantly made him 10 times better than what he was prior to that. Just big damage, and you can really stack all his damage, special damage again. So you can really stack the offense on him because special damage is traditionally a little bit higher than the physical damage number, so it's easier to multiply it and get it much higher. So it's a great character. I mean, everyone's using him some way or another, whether it be under Bastila or Revan, or even as though he does have a leadership ability himself, which is inferior to Bastila and Revan, but I think it is probably a little better than Qui-Gon's. So I mean, he does fuel the Jedi. He is the Jedi offense. So
yeah, absolutely.
Interesting that he is labeled support. That's the last week I noticed that. Like we made that top 5 attackers list, and he didn't make it. I mean, he was like one of the ones I scribbled down initially, and then I was like, oh, he's not even an attacker. So
yeah, you would think with all the bonuses that he gets,
yeah, that
he would be an attacker, but that's
just not the deal. His Grandmaster's guidance is ridiculous. I mean, again, Jedi allies have plus 30% tenacity. Whenever a Jedi ally resists a debuff, they gain 30% turn meter, critical chance up for 2 turns, critical damage up for 2 turns. Whenever they suffer a debuff, they gain tenacity up for 1 turn. At the end of the turn, Grandmaster Yoda is immune to shock. That's his leader ability. So I mean, again, he's not quite the leader right now because there is a better leader for the Jedi faction. But when they did give him that rework and they made his leader ability better, he became somebody that could be an alternative option. So if you did let's say you have some other Jedis that come into the faction at some point, like for example Juhani, maybe we get some more Jedis down the road here in the future. Maybe you find an alternative option to put into your Revan team, let's say for territory wars, and then you have the ability at some point to run a Yoda leader for the rest of your Jedi. If they ever do rework, let's say characters like Plo Koon, Ahsoka Tano, as far as like let's say Padawan Ahsoka, Qui-Gon Jinn again, maybe Anakin Skywalker, maybe characters like Aayla Secura. So some of these older Jedi, Eve Koth, that just haven't had any love in a while, you may eventually find a way to bring Grandmaster Yoda back to the leader slot again at some point. But that is our top 5 support characters of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. If you do like that kind of thing, please do smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and do click that bell icon for notifications when we go live and when I do post a new video. Again, I want to move back into some gameplay here in a few moments, and then we'll do some Q&A. So for those of you that are in the chat, if you have any questions you'd like to have answered on the stream, if you have any topics that you'd like to discuss before the stream ends, now's the time during the stream where we typically like to address those topics. So, ask your questions. Enter your topics. Maurice will gather those now. He's probably gathered a few already from the beginning of the stream, and we'll talk about those now. So, do we have anything, Maurice?
We have a few. Not too many questions tonight. This one's a pretty specific question. This is from Stonewall. What triangle should be used on First Order Executioner, and what is the best overall mod set for First Order Executioner? I will say that you definitely want to get very specific mod. He's tough to mod because he's somebody that you're going to mod, and these mods that you put on him to maximize his usefulness are not going to be mods that you can really swap around. What you need on him is you have to 6E them, but you want to 6E the circle. You need a health primary, and then also the cross. A health primary is going be the best bet. Because if you look at his, I've got mine open here. My First Order Executioner's max health, base health, is right around 31,000 base health, and his base offense is right around 3,200. So if you take 16% health, which is going to be your 6E health primary, 16% of the 31K is going to be, I don't know, what, roughly, like, I don't know, 1,000-ish. And then he's going to get, he does bonus damage based on his max health, 20%. So 20% of that is going to be higher than the 8.5 or whatever it is offense off of his physical damage. So you do want the health primaries. Triangle wise, I do have a crit damage on him. I just simply don't have any good health primary triangles. It's not something I've traditionally looked for. I am looking out for them because I would like to see which of those would benefit more. Health primaries are going to be better than offense primaries for him. Mod sets, I run a health set and a crit damage set on him. Again, maybe 3 health sets would generate more damage over the course of a long battle. I would say you want to use, if you're using him specifically for raids and long drawn-out battles, you probably 3 health sets probably would be the best for him, including a health arrow on him probably as well. But if you're using him for arena, I think crit damage is okay because he's gonna, if you're using him under a crew team, he's going to have advantage a lot, especially if you use like First Order Officer goes first, feeds advantage to First Order Executioner. He goes, does his thing. Then every time the crew gets hit, there's advantage getting passed around. He'll have advantage a lot. It's very easy to use on offense. Defensively, who knows how the AI plays it. It's not 100%, but that is something I'm actually experimenting with Stonewall. So if you get with me in a couple weeks on that, I might have a better answer. I am shopping the mod shipments for a health primary triangle currently. It's just I'm not getting any luck. And then Notorious BFG actually asks another First Order question. What are you guys using in place of First Order Stormtrooper and Officer? We don't have either one of them in your First Order team.
Well, I mean, there's really no replacement for First Order Stormtrooper.
There's not. I mean, the problem with First Order is traditionally they've been used on defense and territory wars because of that bonus that they got, the territory wars bonus. That's no longer, I don't think. They didn't mention that was back. I'm assuming that bonus is no longer there. And under a crew lead, every time a character crits, they get turn meter. So, and you put that Zeta on First Order Stormtrooper, while it's not, it doesn't look that great on paper, but under that crew lead, it's great because whoever assists First Order Stormtrooper and First Order Stormtrooper himself, like let's say First Order Stormtrooper does basic, does no damage, but if he crits, he gets 20% turn meter, and then the person that assists, if they crit, again, all the advantage going around, they also get 20% turn meter. That's why we've all gone into a First Order team and just something doesn't go our way, and this the First Order goes, and they never stop. They never stop going and just decimate you, and that's why that First Order Stormtrooper Zeta. It's going to be tough, and the fact that everyone now has Ewoks. The game kind of forced us to get Ewoks to get Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And Ewoks are traditionally a great counter for First Order. You can kind of remedy that by using Barriss. If you guys have a lot of Zeta Barrisses in your guild, you can put them in your First Order team. Try to make them at least Ewok proof. First Order Special Forces TIE Pilot is an option. That's an extra assist, again, under crew, which we have the assist if both the characters crit. That's more turn meter for them. He gives speed up. He does an AoE, which will fuel lots of turn meter for himself personally. And then we do have Phasma. Phasma, a little dated, but she is an option. And it's an option a lot of older players definitely have because she was meta once upon a time, years ago. So,
She was.
we have a First Order team. It's just, it's what your guild has, I guess.
An alternative could be, let's say, Sunfac.
Yeah.
If you have Sunfac, I would say Sunfac is a good tank that you can kind of run outside of his faction. You know, there's no real Geonosian synergy right now, so you can run a Sunfac, and that'd be good. Another alternative would be.
Now, Sunfac's a good suggestion because First Order Stormtrooper does have that dish spell on his basic, and Sunfac does the same thing. So I mean that would be a nice replacement for sure. That was a good suggestion there.
Sunfac, I would say that's probably the best option, but if not, you know, you could also run a, you know, because of the amount of bonuses that the First Order team has, you could run a Scarifrel Pathfinder. Again, you know, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I feel like that would be, you know, not the worst.
Well, again, that's a good suggestion because Scarifrel Pathfinder on his basic does fuel turn meter to the whole team, regardless of what faction they're in. So again, you're getting a little bit of that back that you're missing from First Order Stormtrooper. So that was a good one too. You know, just get creative with it. If it doesn't work, you know, who cares? It's one TW. You live and you learn, you know, in the future, I guess, you know. So, let's see. Piano Jonathan asks, does giving Thrawn his leader Zeta, given you have the other one, do much for Fleet Arena? I will say that both Zetas increase his speed. I'm not sure if it's one specifically or if you need to do both. This is an area I'm not too savvy on the, you know, enhancing what characters. There's like certain thresholds that you have to cross to increase the ship's stats. I'm not too savvy on what exactly makes it kick over to the next tier, if you will.
It's just every upgrade to the ship. So I mean, you know, there's no specific statistic that you do on the character that will affect the ship. So it doesn't matter whether it's a, you know, it doesn't matter what mods you stick on there. All that matters is that they're all 5 6 mods, maxed out, level 15. As far as the gear is concerned, all that matters is that the gear's maxed out. That's literally all that matters. And the statistic Passover is not specific either. It just depends on, you know, what the... It literally... you know, there's a maximum for every ship, and then if you have the character at gear 12 plus with 2 pieces, and all the gear, all the mods at max with all the pieces at level 6 dots, that's literally the best you can possibly do with that character, especially also the Zetas. But that's it. I mean, there's nothing specific about the mods or the gear or anything that upgrades certain specific abilities or upgrades certain specific stats. Everything is just... you know, like everything just kind of upgrades the ship in total, and you know, gives a sort of an overall bonus to the entire ship.
Yeah, Abner Dude says there's a solid speed calculator for ships. If you could, Abner, if you would message me that'd be swell. Otherwise, I can Google it here and post it for you guys. Let's see. But excuse me, it will give both the Zetas will give a speed advantage, and that is especially if you're facing Thrawn versus Thrawn, it will give an advantage because you'll get your ship off first. If you don't think that you'll ever use that Zeta in like a character environment, you can always use the TIE Reaper to kind of balance the playing field a little bit. As long as you kill a ship, if you kill one ship, maybe 2, that's definitely that'll put your Thrawn ahead of theirs. That's what I did on my shard for a long time, because with Tarkin, I got like a gear 11 Tarkin with no Zetas on it against, you know, a full fleet or a full shard full of double Zeta gear 12 Tarkins with 16 mods, and I would just use Reaper, kill a couple ships, and my Tarkin would actually get his bomb off first. So I'd imagine it'd be the same for the Thrawn scenario. Excuse me. Let's see. We got a couple more pouring in here. With CLS, this is a question we get a lot, actually. With CLS being the second best leader in Arena, in my opinion, what's the thoughts on his leader and Tenacity Zetas?
In my opinion. On his leader with Tenacity Zetas?
Mm-hmm. No, basically, does he need to triple Zeta his CLS?
I would say that Tenacity Zeta is better than his leader Zeta. So, I mean, if you don't have that one, you should do that one. but you don't need to have 3. I would say, I would say It Binds All Things is probably the only absolutely necessary Zeta that you have from CLS, and then besides that, it would be his other unique that gives him an increase in tenacity. That kind of boosts up his defensive mode a little bit. So those are the 2 main Zetas. Being able to gain turn meter for allies based on resisting detrimental effects, I think that is a cool Zeta. Again, if it's just an extra Zeta that you have, I mean, listen, if you have all your Gear 12 characters maxed and you just happen to have an extra Zeta and you want to stick it on a character and you use CLS in Arena, then, if it's going to help you get crystals every day, I'd say go for it. Just put the 3rd Zeta on him. But if you're talking about the Tenacity Zeta versus the Leader Zeta, I'd say that is definitely a better Zeta. I'd say those 2, like It Binds All Things and that Tenacity Zeta, are the 2 best Zetas for him.
Yeah, Abner just messaged me that link for the ship calculator. Posted in the chat if you guys want to check that out. That's something I'm actually going to check out after the show here. I've been pretty curious. I'm sitting here really decking out my Lando's Millennium Falcon, and I want to see exactly what I need to do to get it to that max speed.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abner. And you're welcome, McFly. Not a problem. Yeah, I definitely wanted to try out the Akbar Lead too. That's cool.
All right. If you guys got any more questions, get them in. This is the last one we got on the sheet here. Is Scion usable? This comes from Rob Miller. Is Scion usable in 4 stars in an arena team? I usually place around 450. My team is Zeta Palp Lead, Gear 10, Vader Gear 12, Xylo Gear 9, and Zeta Thrawn Gear 10. I guess it depends what your goal is. If you're trying to get into the top 20 from 450, no. But if you're trying to get into, let's say, the top 200, probably so. If you have Sith Trooper, I would maybe suggest using Sith Trooper on defense, because Scion at 4 stars is pretty squishy. He's not going to get the opportunity to get his Held by Hatred off very often, especially on defense.
It also depends on how old his shard is, right? If we're talking about like a relatively newer shard, then a 4-star Scion may be the ticket. But what Maurice is saying, like in like a meta shard, like a shard that's, let's say, a little bit more advanced, where you have some, if you're talking about like 7-star Revens and things like that at the top of your arena, you're probably not going to compete with a 4-star Scion.
I will say, if you're using a 4-star Scion, he's going to have to be at least Gear 10. I'm ballparking it here, but you're going to want, because if he's much lower than that at 4-star, you're never going to get that Held by Hatred off, and that's what makes Scion is when he pops that Held by Hatred, he starts just mowing people down because he goes from defensive tank to offensive tank. After you pop that, and that really adds a lot of defense to your team. You're probably going to want to replace Xylo at some point too. If you got that Zeta Palpatine leadership, Xylo is helpful. He's a good character, but you're going to want any other Empire, even Tarkin, just a character that will debuff the opposing team to fuel that turn meter. Xylo doesn't really do anything in terms of the debuffs per se. I guess he's got one of his basic, but there are better Empire options that are going to get your Vader, get your Thrawn, and get your Scion moving quicker with more turn meter than Xylo will. So maybe work on your Scion, try to get him up to Gear 10. He'll definitely help you get over the 450 hump for sure. If you're getting all 5 battles in, I think he'll definitely help you.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe long term, kind of look for a replacement for Xylo. And since you already have Xylo, you've got a nice character for your first order team. Maybe start working, passively on them, getting them ready to go. Because a lot of them have ships. First order TIE Pilot, first order Special Forces crew has arguably one of the best ships in the game. So that's going to help you in Territory Wars, Grand Arena. It's an excellent raid team. Now, depending on where you're at in the game, it's an excellent team for the tank raid. P2, P3, whatever phase you want to use them in. First Order is going to be a good faction to maybe think about since you already got one of the centerpieces of it. So,
but yeah, Scion is definitely like a viable character at 4 stars, if that's what you're asking. I mean, absolutely.
DSP asks, finally joined my ship shard and trying to get an arena shard. Am I now a communist? Oh. You know, some people consider it cheating. I'm in my arena shard. It wasn't a ship shard. Kind of left it, and just the guys in our payout kind of made our own little private one. But, you know, is it collusion? Yes. Is it cheating? It's simply, this is a game that takes a lot of time to play now, and being on these shards really does reduce the time needed. You don't have to worry so much about just constantly having your phone open for 2 hours a day, making sure somebody didn't hit you, and you don't have to climb. You know, you can just kind of casually climb at your own pace without having to worry. So, you know, just take the competitiveness out of the game a little, you know, because no one's really, you know, well, once you can beat everybody, there's not really an incentive to improve your team per se. If you can beat everybody, you just kind of climb and do your thing, get your payout, and then just fall. And I don't know.
I kind of agree. I mean, listen, I mean, for the longest time, we had an arena shard, but it was not to collude with each other. It was only so that we could communicate with each other. We used to still, there was no, you weren't allowed to, like, you know, like, create, like, it was always meant to be, like, there was, like, you know, there was no ever, like, colluding payouts. Like, everybody had to still fight for their rank 1. Honestly, though, over time, though, that's changed. Like, now, that was the way it was at first, and it was really just meant to be a place for us to kind of talk with each other and to stay in touch and to be able to talk a little smack. And that was really the main reason for it at first. But since then, it's become more of like just a regular routine, like business almost, where people just, you know, they just make sure that they don't step on each other's toes, and that you know, when the time comes and it's time to do their battles, that they kind of set it up with their other, you know, with the rest of the shard. Like, so, like, you know, like today it's your turn to take rank 1. Tomorrow it's this guy's turn to take rank 1. That's kind of how it is now at my arena. But it used to be different. So, I mean, and I was not really for that. I mean, for the longest time I was totally against, you know, colluding for arena. But, I mean, honestly, as you become more and more, you know, involved in guild things and other things in this game, it becomes very difficult to be able to maintain, you know, rank 1 in arena every day, and also do your raids, and also do your territory battles, and also do your territory wars, and also do all these other things. So, you know, I think to take one aspect of it, you know, out of your mind and be able to just focus on the other parts of the game, I don't think it's such a bad idea.
Yeah. But for those not included, it is, when I say collusion, it's, you know, like, hey, you know, such and such, somebody that's not on the shard. Hey, this person's climbing. Can somebody, you know, like, let's say somebody that's not in my payout is threatening. I could theoretically ask maybe some of the Europeans on my shard, my arena shard, to be like, hey, can you hit this guy to slow him down? You know, that's what I meant by collusion. I mean, but I mean, if you're not in your ship shard, or in any arena shard, and you want to get in, the best way to do it is improve your team and just be a pest. just be a pest and just annoy people, and you reach out to them, and they'll be like, yes. Because if you're on an arena shard and somebody's pestering you and it's forcing you to refresh and spend extra crystals to lock somebody out, then it's almost better to include that person, because you're going to make you're going to make more crystals, not having to worry about it again. You know, if you have to add an extra spot in the rotation, so be it. It's still better than spending, you know, 150 crystals every day refreshing battles and refreshing your games just to try to maintain your spot. So, yeah. So yeah, that's actually the last question I've got here. So,
all right, so I think we're gonna go ahead and call it a stream here, guys. I mean, it's been a long one. Some of us have some things to do tomorrow, so we're gonna go ahead and move on here. But I definitely appreciate everybody sticking out with us and hanging out here late on this Sunday night. And as we get more info on the changes that are made to, like, C3PO and what happens with this updates with the Millennium Falcon, and how awesome he is, or how awesome the ship is, we'll definitely give you guys some more information. So look forward to that. But I definitely wish everybody a good happy evening. And, may the force be with you guys. We'll see you guys on the next stream. Definitely check out Maurice's stream also before you go on Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m.
9:30 EST.
9:30 p.m. Eastern time on the Operation Metaverse channel with him and TMoney. And, again, I appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. And look forward to seeing you guys next week on Sunday for the live show number 81. But hope you guys enjoyed the stream as much as we did. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.